Again, I'm blown away by the guests that we have on the show, and the irony is, I think earlier on someone asked me, how do we choose our guests? We don't. Kind of, in a way, our guests choose us. It's like when you meet someone, you get a really good vibe about them. It just comes, you know. And when I met you, at the Green School Foundation at IGNITE, this incredible gala that you organized, and you were on stage and you were talking, just the presence, the passion, the purpose that you have, I was just like, right, she has to be on the show. And kind of like that's pretty much, you know, how I choose, you know, who's on the show and who's not. So I'm going to try and pronounce your name. So Rembulan Kania Maniasa. I did the best as I could.
You did the there.
I know. It's hard for English speakers without the spit kind of flying out in different directions, which is not good for the audience. But welcome to the show. Another round of applause, please, for Kania.
Thank you, everyone.
So what I've got here is a little intro, which I love to do because, you know, I think that and feel that you should be suitably awarded and celebrated for what you've done and the person that you are. So being the executive director of Green School Foundation is passionate about sustainability, agriculture, and environmental education. And you also founded the IGNITE Fundraising Gala, which is where we met, a great event at Puri Agung in Kerambatan, which celebrates cultural preservation and artistic expression. And this initiative supports talented Balinese students, helping them pursue their educational dreams while combining tradition with innovation for a sustainable future. And then we're not even halfway through, right? So Kania's work inspires community-driven projects that blend Balinese heritage with modern sustainable practices, helping shape the next generation of environmental leaders. And your leadership of the Green School Foundation is at the forefront of educational initiatives, empowering Balinese youth to become advocates for a sustainable world. And I'm still going to keep going because I'm just enjoying this. So some of the takeaways from tonight, we're talking about empowering Balinese youth, and we called it regenerative, right? Learn how regenerative education helps students embrace sustainability and achieve their dreams. And then we're talking also about balancing tradition and innovation, exploring how education preserves Balinese culture whilst introducing modern, sustainable practices. And the third takeaway is community-driven impact. So understanding the role of community initiatives in supporting education and cultural preservation here in Bali. And this is what I really enjoy, your media and speaking engagements. We're talking Indonesia, Honeycombs Bali, local legends. We're talking Tatla Indonesia, great friend who's the editor over there, lovely, beautiful woman. Dewi Mag, Bazaar Indonesia, that's Harper's Bazaar Indonesia. Global Sustainable Development Congress in Bangkok. Sea Youth Summit, August 2024 in Jakarta. And the API Institute Sustainable Talk in Bali. Indonesia Sustainable Energy Week, that was in Jakarta. And then Tatla, Indonesia, nurturing future change makers, right? Woo! Again, round of applause, because why not?
Thank you, Robert.
You know, it's interesting as well because a lady who sat in the same chair as you, and you two, I've just realized, remind me of each other, which is Melati, right? So Melati Wason, who is a young change maker herself, Bye Bye Plastic Bags, and Youthtopia, which is creating incredible opportunities for change makers around the world to unite and to be empowered by, right? So one of the things that keeps coming up with you, which I love, is this, you know, empowerment of others, and especially Balinese youth. So maybe the first question is, you know, why is that important to you? And when did you first know and understand that that's kind of what you're here to do, or part of why you're here?
Oh, okay, that's a very heavy one and a personal one.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons why I grew up in the U.S. up until I finished college. And one of the reasons why I decided to come back was because I wanted to give back to Bali and to Indonesia. I didn't know how to, but I wanted to do that. And we come to Bali for many different reasons. We stay in Bali for many different reasons. But I know that one of the things in common that we have is we seek to find balance that is very hard to find anywhere else in the world. But somehow in Bali, we find that in one way or the other. But I have to be honest with you. Lately it has been very hard for me seeing what the island is becoming or how it's changing. I was telling you earlier, I try to avoid Canggu as much as I can. I love the people. I love all the offerings here, but the traffic is crazy. And it's not just in Canggu. You feel it everywhere in Bali. I live in Tabanan, and it gets quite packed pretty quickly on certain days. So it's starting to feel really different. Bali is starting to feel really different. And I don't know if you want to answer this question, does it feel like the way it used to be if you've been living here over 10 years, 20 years maybe? Is it the same Bali? Is it the same? I question myself, do I really want to come here? And then I'm in Bali, I become a Balinese wife, and I become a mom here. I have Banjar duties, and I'm like, damn it, did I really? Sorry, excuse my language. Did I really come back? But then...
You're back.
I'm back. Thank you. Then I have this whisper in my ear all the time. It's like, that saying, if not us, then who? If not now, then when? That haunts me, Robert, because one of the things we realize that's missing, and I think we know that there's a gap between the locals, the international community. There's a huge gap, whether you want to admit it or not. And how do we fill that gap? It's like I see myself as half and half. I lived in the US many years. I've been exposed to the outside world, and I'm a very Balinese girl inside and out. So I feel like I have a certain responsibility. And when we see what's happening now, not just in Bali, I'm talking everywhere in the world with climate change and the crisis we're facing, how can we solve that problem? And one of the ways that I think needs to happen is our change in education, in the education system. Why I work with, when we talk about sustainability, it's all about behavior, right? I was in a workshop earlier today talking about what makes people become more sustainable. Is it financial benefits? Is it the government putting out more rules? Or is it peer pressure? And 90% of the room stood up, said peer pressure. If my friend is doing it, if my friend is sorting out their waste, I have to do it too. So, and changing behavior is difficult in adults. How many of us as adults say, okay, starting from tomorrow, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to come back and do this. We procrastinate. It's hard for adults to change our behavior unless we really set our minds to it. But when you work with children, they have a different outlook of life, of the way things are done. You can set examples. You can show them. And they follow. So why I work with children and why the Green School Foundation, we are so passionate about working with children is because of that. Because there's endless opportunities to connect them to nature, to remind them of the importance of preserving. So in short, I don't know if that answers your question. In short, the reason why I do what I do is because who else is going to do it if not us, right?
Part of me is happy that you spoke for a while. 'Cause I was about to cry. So yeah,
Don't cry.
because
You
no,
cry, I'll cry.
but yeah, I know. And then that interview over, right? We get Daddy up here instead, just to take over with Michael. But it's like this. So when I said in the beginning, you know, what is the criteria for choosing someone to come on or someone to get on the show? It's that impact. I'm talking, you know, when you just started to speak, it was like, it just hit me. It probably hit everyone here as well, that it's a calling for you, that whisper in your ear. It's the same for me. That's why I was moved to tears. And so it's really important that that is the thing that you empower, and that's the thing that you give a platform. Because, you know, the way I see things now is that now is the time. So again, you know, like what you said, if not now, when? You know, if not you, then who? You know, so these are the things which really speak to me, right, on a very deep level. So thank you for just being you, right? Next question, what would it be? You know, so on a day-to-day basis, you know, what does the Green School Foundation do, and why does it do it in the way that it does?
So what does the Green School Foundation do? We are a small team of 8 people now, and our team is divided in, you know, what keeps us alive? Fundraising. What keeps people knowing about what we do? Our comms team. And most importantly, why do we do what we do is our program leaders who are out there working with the students, going into the government, connecting with government relations. They're all here, the team. So Adin and Difo working with working with students. They're doing the hard work, you know. But we need leaders in order to for things to flourish, for things to happen. We need these students to be empowered. And our team, what we do is we not just deliver programs, we empower them. So we have 2 key programs. Brace yourselves. One, we go into local government schools to deliver sustainability projects, hands-on learning opportunities for children from age 10 to 12. And this is a program that we do in collaboration with Green School and the Green School teachers, because they're the educators, they're the experts of sustainability education, and we help connect them into local communities and do co-creative, co-collaborative learning. And the reason why we do that is whenever you work with students, especially in the younger age, you have to do what the learning is should be fun, right? Learning should be fun. Learning should be exciting. It should be hands-on. And that's sometimes what is lacking in education, not just in Indonesia. I remember when I used to go to school in the US, we didn't go outside of our classrooms ever. We sit in rows, right? We sit in rows and we sit in a box classroom. So we want to provide that opportunity because we're in Bali. You know, students should go outside more like we used to back in the days. And then our second program is also really, really important. We realize that the world is running out of farmers. Nobody wants to be farmers. Nobody. Farmers don't want their children to be farmers because it doesn't make them money. It's not sexy enough. So this is an issue, right? Our food comes from agriculture and farming. Yet, the current generation, I don't need to look for statistics. I think this is pretty real and we are all seeing it. You drive around, I don't know, past rice fields, you don't see young people. You see older generation. And so, what our solution to that is we are encouraging students, especially children of farmers, to go into university, study agriculture, and become have agricultural degrees. But beyond that, we work with them to mentor them, provide them English learning, entrepreneurship training when they get close to graduation, and prep them to become empowered farmers. As a matter of fact, I propose we don't use the term farmer anymore, because as soon as you say patani or farmer, I don't want to be farmer. I don't want my LinkedIn to say farmer. No, like agricultural socialist or economist, something like that. We got to change it for the next generation. The Gen Z and the Gen whatever coming rising up here, they're very much thoughtful about their future, and so we need to create space for them to shine.
You know, one of the things which hung with me about meeting you that day at the IGNITE Gala fundraiser was, you know, there was a young farmer there that I believe the foundation funded, right? Can you explain a little bit about that? How was he selected, and what did he achieve?
That is a very good question. So one of the criteria that I mentioned earlier to give a scholarship is to find a child of a farmer, because we want to kill two birds in one stone. Bali is and Indonesia is running out of ancestral lands because people keep selling, leasing it, you know, in a pace that's unhealthy at this point. And we want our future farmers to be able to use their land, be empowered to create something, become business owners, take full control of their career in farming. And the way we do that is, you know, finding a child of a farmer, ensuring that when you finish with university, you go back to your land. That's the idea. We don't force them. It's not on paper, but we prep them for that. We open them up to the horizon of possibilities. You have land, use it, create something. All the big coffee companies in the world, you know, they get their coffee from Indonesia, but yet our people, we are lacking in that. And that's why whenever I meet an Indonesian entrepreneur, I'm a huge fan, because it's very rare to find, especially here in Bali. But I hope to change that in the future.
There's a man by the name of Igede Anta Rahman. So Anta, I've known for some years, brilliant guy. So let me tell you a little bit about him. In 2012, I think it was, the government of Denpasar basically gave him a building. Anyone here know about Bali Blockchain Center? Good. So check it out. Bali Blockchain Center, right? So they gave him a building. Said, Anta, we want blockchain-inspired industry market to become the second largest contributor to Denpasar. And it's a huge building, and he's basically done it. In the process, what he's done is that he's created the first layer zero hybrid in Indonesia. From Indonesian team, and some foreigners, friends of mine, but has created, which is backed by government, and is huge. It's called Mandala Chain. So if you've ever heard of Mandala Chain, check it out, and Baliola. So Baliola, Mandala Chain, Bali Blockchain Center. Check these three out. Now, Ante is very successful at what he does. Beautiful guy. So the next thing, which I'm probably not supposed to mention, but I will, hope he doesn't mind. Imagine this. So Indonesia is a huge country, okay? So what? We've got almost 18,000 people, 700 plus cultures, 500 plus languages, almost 300 million people, as I mentioned, average age around 27, the fourth most populous nation in the world, in a couple of decades, the fourth largest economy in the world. Bali being, 80% plus of the tourism that comes into Indonesia, but contributing about 3% or less of GDP, right? So it's unequal in terms of GDP, but the value of Bali is huge. So here's an idea. So when it comes to tourism, it's about, keep this one in mind, different regions of Indonesia. Let's take Aceh, for example. Aceh is very Muslim, as we know, right? So if the one thing that is driven in terms of tourism, Muslim tourism, Aceh.
Yeah.
You look at Bandung, which is obviously architecture and food. My wife is from Bandung. Marina, if you're watching, I love you, my darling. Here's a funny thing about Bandung people, and it's not just her, right? I think she has calculated the amount of meals that she's going to have in her lifetime. This is serious now. This is serious, right? If she has a bad meal, me, the kids, we all suffer. It's like she's calculated like that one meal I can't get back, right? I mean, so food is extremely important.
Yes.
So for Bandung, maybe that's the center of food tourism, but a specific type of food tourism or architecture. When we look at Bali, all right, Badung, which many people don't realize, was chosen to be the economic driver of Bali. Okay, so back in the day, I think the then governor and obviously the Bupati were basically saying, right, let's bring in all the main hotels and commercial business from around Bali into Badung. So it's no coincidence that Badung is the strongest driver. Now, when you look at Tabanan, what do you have? Farming. So an idea which we're about to present soon is smart farming. This is partly why you're going to be you're part of this already. Okay. And so then when you look at tourism drivers, as for the national picture, again you can separate it like that. It's not the only thing, but that's the main driver. When you look at Bali, perhaps one of the solutions is to drive that smart tourism, smart farming, and so on and so on and so on. There's a project called, it was on the show, Sabdo Cimentado, and it's called 5 Harvest O. So 5 Harvest O, check it out. What it is it's a project which, using blockchain technology, empowers and funds farmers. 5 Harvest O, and there's another one which is beyond my mind at the moment. So bring it back. When you hear about something like that, you've spoken about tourism before, and it's part of that, right? How do you but reveal that farming is incredibly important,
Yes.
right? For everyone sitting here. You know, would something like that derive your support? Would something like that interest you, or what other ideas do you have, to kind of bring farming back into this very important spotlight that is very, very needed?
I think that's very interesting. I think anytime you can combine education and entertainment, edutainment, it's all about, if you want people to learn, you have to entertain them. I'm sorry, that's the world we're in now. I mean, our algorithm, everything that we click, we search, everything that interests us is based on our entertainment. I think it's very interesting. I learned something the other day, that back in the days, like way back in the days, hundreds of years ago maybe, that Balinese people or Indonesian people, we don't eat rice much, actually. That we eat our meals with cassava. Is that right? Sele in Balinese, is we eat our meals with cassava. But it was a time where there was some controversy happening that rice became a business opportunity, an economics opportunity. Since then, rice became the thing that we need. And because we cannot fulfill the needs of rice in Bali, we get them from elsewhere in the world. Export, import opportunities, things like that. So for an example of what I have in mind is, can we bring back cassava farming? Can we get more and more people to farm that and bring that back into what is really our culture? It's healthier, and it's what we want to achieve in the future, is how can we eat more of healthy food and stop ourselves from, and our children, because we're eating pretty much plastic, right? Microplastics in our system. So connecting all of that is something that we are passionate about and doing research on. I hope our students, our scholars are going to be doing research on what can they do, what can they reinvent and bring back to the table.
You know, you mentioned a really crucial word, culture. And I think everybody who comes to Bali, you know, it's a beautiful place. There are also other beautiful places in the world, not so far away from here, actually. But why is it that Bali is always in the top 3, pretty much, of the searches in the world of most Googled destinations in the world, you know? And I think what a lot of people come around to understanding is culture. You know, Bali is one of the only living cultures in the world, right? We have one guy, who remembers Professor Haidai? Anyone remember him? Yep, one over here, one over here. So Professor Haidai is an interesting fella, which I should introduce you to as well. And he is working for some of the highest kingdoms here in Bali. But it's all about regenerative. It's all about creating case studies that go to reinforce and back up this understanding of culture and how that transmutes into the economy and so on and so on and so on. Very interesting guy. So where am I going with this? So the question that I basically have then is that one of the takeaways that we've got is, you know, reminding, empowering, education about Balinese culture. So how is Green School Foundation, how are you as an individual helping to promote and to elevate that here in Bali at the moment?
I think the philosophy of Trihita Karana has always been embedded within the Green School learning philosophies since the school opened. But for us at Green School Foundation, we work with a lot of young people. We work with a lot of local people who are here in Bali. And anytime we build relationships, you know, we are very mindful of how we can connect in an organic way, in a natural way, working with the village, working with schools in rural area. You have to remind yourselves of where you are. But then there's also IGNITE, is when we take that commitment to the next level, where we bring artists, you know, performers, you know, business owners come together and celebrate what it means to be in love with culture and be reminding ourselves where we come from. I think that's also beautiful. But not just for people who are not from Bali, but I think our Balinese people should also remember where we come from, remember of our culture. What does it mean to have human-to-human relations? What does it mean to have respect, human to nature? What does that mean? You know, it's interesting because one of the ways we have amongst plastic and other things are ceremony waste, right? I think people are aware of that, sometimes not know what to do with ceremonial waste. But back in the days, our waste was all organic, because the whole concept of offerings is that we use natural things that we grow on the island. So whatever fruits we have, that's why you see fruits on the offering. You know, whatever materials we grow, we use that to create offerings, and they're all biodegradable. So even when they end up on the ground or in the river, you know, they will biodegradable. So reminding ourselves again what our ancestor taught us. I think what connect everyone in this room, you and me, and people I work with, it's not just the physical things here. I think it's also ancestors. You know, I believe that you and I, we knew each other from thousands of years ago, Robert. That's why we have that connection. You know, it's also thinking about our ancestors before were pretty smart. They created things. They created these philosophies for a reason. And we look back at that too. So I think what we do at the Green School Foundation is we remind ourselves by using these philosophies in as much ways as we can in what we do, is to make sure that we're on the right track. We're on the right path. So,
you know, one of the beautiful things about you is that you have this Americanness to you, right? The way that, I was looking for the word, ness just came out. If you ever get stuck on any word, just add ness to it. happiness, right? Joyfulness, deadiness, right? Maybe deadness, we can work on that one. So here's the thing, you know, I'm a massive believer that also that our life isn't by accident. Yeah, things don't just happen, but there are certain things which, in a way, are chosen for us. And kind of when we look back, we kind of realize that certain things happened at the time that they did, and then you're happy that they did, because that gave you the skill, the understanding, the values, the appreciation to do what it is you do today in a very powerful way. So when I speak to that Americanness side of you, right, we have the Balinese, we have the American side. What is it that you can garner or collect from that American side that you feel benefits you in what you do today, Green School Foundation, as well as personally?
I think that's a question that I try to answer every day, actually, because I feel this split. But you know what? People like you and me, you know, we always talk about we need leaders in the world. We need good leaders. We need heartfelt leaders. But we also need change makers. We need change makers. We have a lot of change makers, and anyone can be. But you know what we really need is we need bridges. We need human bridges to fill the gap, because all these sectors, all the things happening in Bali, I feel like there's still a disconnection, a big disconnection on how everyone wants the same thing. Everyone wants a great waste management program. Who doesn't? Everyone wants Bali to succeed, to never to go through the pandemic again or anything like that. But how do we get there? Well, we have so many expertise in Bali, in Green School. I mean, just around us here in this room, we have so many expertise. How come we can't connect everyone together? So what I propose for myself, that if I were to achieve something, is to garner competition, not competition, not just collaboration, but co-competition. Collaborate with our competition. Collaborate with anyone, government, schools, businesses, and be open to that. Be open to that idea, because that is what's missing. That's what's missing here, and that's how come we can't get that right just yet. I guess that's what my goal in life is, I guess, or in my career, is to somehow be that bridge. Plus, I did a tarot reading one day, and the lady told me, this is what you're meant to do. So I always have that also in the back of my head. Okay, I have to be a human bridge. I have to be a human bridge. But when you put things all together, it makes sense. I lived thousands of miles away. Then I found my husband, who I love very much also, who, if watching, I love you so much, you know, and he's Balinese, and he ended up becoming my husband. We are we've lived our lives thousands of miles apart. So destiny, I believe in that, and I believe in purpose, just like you do, and trust the whole process of you're in the right place. You just need to connect the dots.
Man, yeah. You know, firstly, we're going to go to questions soon. Yeah, just say it. This conversation with you is moving me a lot. You know, and it's funny because, again, like, everyone has someone or something, and it's just interesting how I'm feeling when you're speaking. You know, like you're just reminding me of things, and you're touching points that are powerful points. You know, we're here for a reason. Some of us are bridges. The voice over here whispering your ear saying da 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 da, even down to the tarot reading, you know, hey da 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 da. My wife, right,
You live in Bali, you have to do those tarot readings. Like they're easy, they're accessible. You can
right. So my wife Marina, right, is from Jakarta. Now I was living in Sydney for 25 years. I'm from London, and I lived in Italy for 2 years. I speak Italian still, and I was convinced that I'd be living in Italy with my wife, son, Marco, Valentina, the whole crew. So in Sydney, I went to an Italian friend's barbecue, right? I was in a relationship at that time, and there I met an Indonesian. I never even knew where Indonesia was. I was good at geography, but we weren't taught where Indonesia was. Even went in the Dutch Indies, like, I don't know where it is. And but isn't it interesting? And it's not that once we got together some months later that we were going to go to Jakarta. Right? She was like, we're not going to Jakarta. Nothing against Jakarta, okay? For those who love Jakarta. But we're going to go to Bali. And I was in this mode of being very city-driven. And for me, as I understood it, I was exactly where I needed to be. Right? Everyone heard of the analogy of being the rat in the wheel? Yeah, raise your hand if you heard of that analogy, being the rat in the wheel. Okay, good. The rat in the wheel is like you have a wheel and the rat's going around. And the rat doesn't realize that it doesn't matter how fast it goes, it's still stuck in the wheel. When you slow down, you're still in the wheel. When you speed up, you're still in the wheel. When you go halfway between fast and slow, you're still in the wheel. I was the rat and the wheel. Right? So I had no chance. Yeah? And it was Marina who said, you need a break. I'm looking at Michael because he knows my wife. She said, you need a break. I'm like, no, I don't. You should. She goes, you know what? Because women are smarter than men. I just said it. I'll repeat it. Women are smarter than men. Okay, you got me. So here's what happened. She said, you know what? Let's have a family break in Bali. Not move, but a family break. I was like, family break, Bali. I've been there before. I had a good time. Sure. 3 days in Tabanan.
Oh.
I knew I had to move. 3 months later, we sold everything and moved. And that's why Tabanan is close to my heart. Because it's the first place that I fell into. So I have no idea what that's got to do with what we're doing tonight. It just slid in there and I've forgotten where we are. But this is what happened. So it's interesting about your Balinese husband, right? Being 1,000 miles away. And I was not even supposed to be in Bali. But guess what? Here I am in a place which is unity and diversity, is a motto of Indonesia. That was the motto that I found at the age of 12, growing up in 2 children's homes in London, which had very different things going on. But that is what I knew at the age of 12 of what my life would be about. Long story for another day, but it's so interesting. So, questions? Yes. So we got the mic, Brother Guzman. So just raise your hand. Now, I'm going to ask one more question to give yourself time to think about the question that you know you have. Just have to ask it. So the last question for now, which comes up, is twofold. So when you look back at the past, is there anything that you would have done differently? I know you're here where you are now and it's perfect, but let's move that aside for a second, right? Let's just throw it one to the side. Anything you would have done differently, number one. The second part to that question then is looking into the future. In what you're doing now, what is it that you would love to see?
Oh, wow. That's a hard ending there. What is it that I would have changed? They say live with no regrets. I wouldn't have changed a thing. And that's cliche, but it's truly because even those terrible, terrible things that happened, those are the things that reminds me today that I can accomplish this, that I can move past all those challenges and thrive. So I'm the most grateful at those who doubted me, those who brought me challenges to my plate, I'm the most grateful. So if I do, encounter people, because we are human, we are complex people, right? We don't get along with anyone. So when I do get to see those people, I would like to thank them, for empowering me in a way that you just can't describe. I mean, we have relationships in our lives that either we still have or we no longer have. And I'm grateful for all of them because it's led me to where I am. And in terms of what I want to see, let's give a time of 5 years for the Green School Foundation, is that we are able to garner hundreds of scholar students who become a community of young farmers who are responsible, who are empowered business leaders as well in their field, and who no longer rely on the supply chain, on others to survive, because that is why we do what we do. And for the education system, imagine a world where, not just in Indonesia, but imagine a world where everyone in school receives a little bit of sustainability education and how to behave and do things responsibly as a human being. Just a hint of that, what the world will be like. So that is my wish for Green School Foundation.
I know it's like that. Every time I feel like clapping too, I'm like, hey, Rob, you're the interviewer. Okay. Next question. Oh, I've forgotten. But by the way, there are no questions I have to remember. That's okay. Okay.
I just attended a storytelling workshop this morning, so I'm using all of the things I learned already. So
great timing. I love it. So before the question here, one which came up was, I see you, okay? I think we all see you, yeah? We see your soul, right? That's what, and we feel it too. And so when you say that there's challenges, that people doubted you, that, there's things that you've come through in your past that you realize that a springboard to your future, right? Okay. What has been the toughest lesson that you've had to learn to become the person who you are today? And go in as deep as you like. And how did you manage to heal it or solve it?
That no one can believe in you more than you believe in yourself. I wish somebody told me that. I wish somebody reminded me that. But somebody did remind me of that. She's a mentor. She's a support system. It took her to open up my eyes to see that. But you shouldn't need someone to snap you out of it, because no one should believe in you more than you believe in yourself. In other words, the answers are all in here.
How did you get to that?
How did I get to that? It's a lot of lack of confidence. I didn't always speak like this. Usually when somebody gives me a mic or asks me even a question, I shiver, I shake. I was never this confident. I mean, you might perceive me as somebody who's confident, but I was nowhere near this stage of where I'm able to share authentically what I feel, what is on my mind. But it took a lot of that. It took a lot of crouching and a lot of self-doubting. But when you have those people, I guess what I would like to share is like when there is someone or people, or it could be a friend, it could be a mentor, it could be your boss, it could be someone, a parent, when they say you are it, believe them. When they support you and they say you are great at it, believe them. Because if they notice, then you are. And keep them in your lives, because those are your true cheerleaders.
Love it. God dang. Yep. I was exactly the same.
I should open a therapy counseling session, maybe.
We already are doing
My next
it.
calling.
We're already doing it. Mamma mia. Questions. And I know, Michael, did you begin to raise the hand, or were you clapping? All right. So Guzman, did you have the mic there? Yeah. All right. So this one here. Yeah. So remember, when you get the mic, just woo, not down here. This. All right.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the talk. Very inspiring. Love what you're taking here. And I just want to tell you a quick Bali story. I had a conversation with my Bahasa Indonesia teacher just lately, and I was asking her, why is there beras super? So you know the rice you get here everywhere, you've got beras super as well. And she said it's the better rice. It's like, why that? What's going on there? It's from Thailand. So, making the bridge over to the Green School Foundation, I think a very important thing to teach people in there is about the value of local products and how it is perceived with the population around using it on a daily basis. So, is there something that resonates with you, and where you say, okay, we need to work on the image of local products to make it more accessible, more valuable? Which, in the end of it, it's a no-brainer. But I was shocked to hear that.
Absolutely. I think that connects to my cassava story earlier, because it's true. We didn't used to eat rice. I wish we didn't, because I love rice, man. It's my worst enemy. We all do. One of the things that, God, I lost my train of thought. Is there something that we can do with that local products? We are still, at the moment, what we need to make sure of is we need to make sure our farmers' children want to be farmers first. How do we do that? How do we get them to want to be? We have to prove to them that there is an income opportunity, that you can be wealthy enough to feed your family as a farmer, and again show that the value of local produce, the value of that. But it requires for them to have education, because education opens up those conversation on opportunities. People don't go to college as farmers. If you ask my grandfather, who's a farmer, and some of yours probably also back in the days, they didn't go to school for farming. So they didn't understand the economical aspect and business aspect of things, of all of this marketing. This is why I'm glad I studied communications. And one of the reasons why I studied communications was, one, was the easiest, nothing to do with math. Although I wish I studied math too, because it's important. But to have the basic skills that we need, that's another thing that we're lacking in the world. I think that skill-based real learning, which is why we love Green School. Green School believes religiously on real learning. And that is something that we take with us with the Green School Foundation, is to show that these are the skills that one absolutely needs.
Great question, Brother Michael. So anyone else has a question, raise the hand. Sebastian and Deddy. Yeah? All right.
I mean, I just got the mic, so I just ask a question, I guess. So
That's a Guzman. Will you turn up a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks again for the inspiring talk. I was wondering, like, could you do you have some examples for us? What kind of enterprises the new farmers are trying to do now that they've gone through the education process?
Thank you for the question. So we started this scholarship program last year, believe it or not. We had to make a huge shift with what we were doing, and we needed to make a quick change of what we should be doing, and one of this is supporting children of farmers. So at the moment, our students are still in the very early phases of their education. But we're going to need people like you. We're going to need people like the community of, I don't know if you've heard them, you should meet them. See, you keep asking me to meet your friends. I want you to meet my friends too. There's this incredible young man named Agung Weda. He started a Petani Muda Keren community. Cool young farmers in Bali. And it's a-
We have to get him on the show.
Yeah, we have to get him on the show. Yeah, and we need people like them who are actually already successful farmers. He has a online supermarket in Bali called Boss Fresh, where you buy your groceries through the app and things like that, and the veggies and fruits, they all come from his garden in farm in Bedugul. So we need people like him. We need people like you who's doing tech and farming. We're going to need a lot of help in order to connect. See, supporting Green School Foundation isn't just about donating. Yes, we need your money. Yes, we need money to do things, but we also need your heart, we need your hand, and we need support. So that's something that we need to be prepping in the next few years once our students graduate, or even before they graduate. We already have in mind all these opportunities.
Just microphone again, Guz.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys are interested, like, you can always do an excursion or whatever, like, or maybe if you guys are interested, we can even let's kind of like a field trip and make like a project in our area. Because what I've heard when I talked to Udayana at the agriculture department, that they have limited experience, for example, in permaculture or syntropic farming in general. So if it's not part of the curriculum, then you have to find it somewhere else, right? Because so happy to connect if you guys are interested.
Absolutely. These are part of the real skills training that we need for our students. Yes.
Brother Dedi, so have you passed the microphone forward? Yeah.
Thank you, Rembulan. Hey, you kind of already answered all the questions, so that was powerful. And I just want to mention something that you said, really, really powerful. That I think this is my biggest takeaway from this. You are in the right place. You just need to connect the dot. I think that's really, really powerful. And I think I need to put on Instagram and hashtag that, and then tag your name. It's a beautiful quote. So I guess the question is, like, as an audience, you already mentioned, okay, you need support and donation and all that. What's the practical step, like, after this, us as an audience, or me as an audience, can do to support you in this mission?
Thank you so much, and thank you in advance for your willingness to support. First step, just like when you like someone, you're gonna find their IG, right? You're gonna find their Instagram. You're gonna stalk them a little bit here and there. So we would love for you to connect on our socials, on Instagram, learn more about what we do, and LinkedIn. Let's connect. And when there's an opportunity for volunteers, when there's an event coming up, because we do a lot of those as well, when there is a talk, we'd love to connect with you, and you'll find out on our social medias. We also have a newsletter once in a month. You can also sign up to that, but you'll find more information once you connect with us online. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brother Dedi. So no, Dedi to Detlev. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up. Santa Margarita. Oh. How's everybody doing, by the way? How's everyone doing?
Good.
Just say okay. Okay. I won't say shout, but the thing is that the vibe is right here. I don't want to do this. I want to keep it right there. Brother Detlev, over to you.
Well, I felt a little bit this kind of hopelessness regarding farmers, and but actually this is all over the world, I guess. Yeah? Unless you go more industrial farming, then. But anyway, I learned, I think 25 years ago something, not for me, but I'm still thinking about it. There was this, if I'm not mistaken, Chinese proverb, what says, you get a happy life when you follow your passion or what you want. Is this Confucius? But you get the most happy person if you get a gardener.
All right, so bring the microphone closer to your mouth and repeat
So
that.
once again, you have a happy life if you do what you want to do. What is your passion, right? But you get real happy or real happiness if you get to be a gardener. And I love this. And I would love to analyze this a little bit. Not so much for me. I don't have the green thumb, but I love the idea. And I mean, what I see, if things growing out of your own hand, what you're doing, that's pretty amazing. And actually, I would kind of analyze this proverb and see where's the truth in it and how you can sell this, because this is basics. Yeah, this is human basics. Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. For a second, I thought you were going to say, if you really want to be happy, you make your wife happy. Happy wife, happy life.
That's the truth. Sorry.
That's what I wanted to hear.
What you said was great, but what she said is the real truth. Sorry, brother.
Yes, okay.
I've met it, and I've met his wife. She seems pretty happy too.
Well, I think that's very interesting. And more people now are growing things in their gardens. I know that because a lot of my friends do. I need to start. But gardening, back in the days, I imagine that's what people were doing. They were eating their own harvest. Whatever they harvest, whatever they have, that's what they eat. So that whole concept of we can grow our own food. One of the goals of Green School is that every child is happy, one. Two, that every child knows where their food comes from. So they need to learn from the seed to table concept. Most of us don't know where our food come from. Most of us don't. Most of us sometimes forget about that. But there is something in there that's very symbolic, where if you do something, if you grow your own food, imagine like how that feels, how that food tastes. Might be even tastier because you grow it yourself. But I do like that thinking, and it's definitely something that we all should be doing in the future, or now, not the future, now. So we can have a future.
You know, I look at Detlev, and I see Theodora sitting next to him. So Theodora was
Is that the wife?
No,
Okay.
no.
Oops, sorry.
I'm glad we got that one straight. Well, that could have been awkward.
Okay.
So Theodora was on the show in the seat where you sit with her brother Rama, who's called the Disco Farmer, right? Disco Farmer.
I know, Rama.
There you go, right? So maybe pass the microphone to Theodora, or pass it back to Theodora.
Oh, Theodora is on the audience.
There you go, right? You might need to switch it on. Maybe it goes if you switch it on for her. All right. So look, you know, I think it's pertinent, right? So maybe if you just spend a little time letting people know what it is that you do.
Yeah.
And then you sat here, you've heard this. What comes up as being important for you when we talk about farming and where things are at now? So first thing is a little bit of background upon you, because it's pertinent to this conversation.
All right.
And then the second part of the question is, you know, based upon that, you know, what's coming up for you, being that you're here and you've heard all of this when it comes to farming, the importance and so on. So over to you.
So I'm a chef consultant. I create recipes for other like cafes, restaurants, luxurious. Like I used to work in a resort, but I've given up that life for the balance. I've given up my corporate life, like for the balance that I wanted to have moving to Bali. I used to live in Italy for many years, and in Italy, like I didn't live in a big city. It wasn't Milan or Florence or whatever. I lived in an agriculture area called Friuli Venezia Giulia. It's up north, no one sometimes wouldn't even know, oh, where is Friuli? So like, it was
Friuli is a beautiful region in
yeah,
Italy.
so it was close to Austria and Slovenia, and we just, everywhere you look, it was like not rice fields, but like more like wheats and corn, things like this. And then that's from Jakarta moving to Italy, because my ex-husband is Italian. Was like the first smell that as soon as I arrived in Italy, it was spring, and it was like the cows, because it was like everyone was growing. So that then I started loving and understanding where my food comes from, because in Jakarta we just bought them from supermarkets. I never saw a cow in my life, and so it's because of that I'm also now like more mindful, of my journey. And then I became a chef there. I used to love cooking, but I just didn't know like how to appreciate the ingredients, where that come from. And yeah, so I guess it's for me, I'm seeing that it has progressed. I think like there are so many already. I'm seeing also it's either in Italy and also here that young people would now like try to go back into farming, and they have started to understand, my generation at least. And like Rama, he's my best friend. Like, so like
He's a
like
superstar.
yeah, he's a superstar. Like this, he's pretty much gotten the same mission like you guys. He wants to make farming cool again. And then I see young farmers in Italy, in my hometown, and here trying to do this, and that's very encouraging for me. But then there comes the next phase, which is like, okay, there is the farmers, there are the farmers, but then if people buy without knowing the seasonality of why, the vitamins and how to cook them, like if then you buy a zucchini, it was fresh, and then you don't know how to cook them, and then you killed the hell out of the zucchini, and then it's nothing, then you don't have the nutrients. So I guess also I think the education in this is important to know. Like when I was in a culinary school, and then I thought in that culinary school I became a professor there, it's also important to make people mindful about how to treat this, beautiful vegetables, beautiful produce, and keep the nutrients, and how to cook. Because many Indonesians, unfortunately, especially in Jakarta, they like eating out. I'm talking about my family, my friends. But when it comes to cooking at home, and then they would say, panas, like, capek, and then they just go food, and, even my mom. So I guess this we have to push through as well. The education on nutrients and the education of how to cook with that produce.
Thank you, Theodora. Yeah. Anything coming up?
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. We get inspired with all this farm to table from restaurants in Bali. We're so lucky that in Bali there's so many beautiful restaurants and chefs who are very vocal about this and who talk about this in their art, in their food. For our IGNITE event, for instance, we work with chefs who specifically believe in sustainability. I think that's wonderful. I also know that you can't. I think it goes back to your question about how do you choose the scholars for the agricultural university scholarships, is also to make sure that they are really passionate in this, to make sure that this is what they want to do, that they're not accepting the scholarship for the sake of it, but to know that they really want to take it on. And you don't have to be a farmer to make a change in the food and produce industry. You can be an incredible chef. You can be a restaurateur that brings up all these wonderful businesses, local businesses, to create an impact. So I think that's definitely an angle we should all look at. We shouldn't stick with this. You have to be a farmer. You have to be, but there's many things. And one last point, one of the things we most need in Indonesia is environmental influencers. everyone is on social media. All of the young generation, they're all on social media. They're on TikTok. But what they see on TikTok, it's nothing regarding sustainability. It's not cool. In fact, we're tired of the word sustainability, right? How can we have more environmental sustainability? I was talking to Rob Navikula, you know him, and we were thinking, I think we should start something like a special sustainability workshop for influencers, where they're not just talking about sustainability and getting endorsed by brands to talk about sustainability but don't know what that is, and then they get criticized later on, but to really, really talk to them about this and use their platform to create change. Rama is a great example of someone who authentically talks about the things he loves the most because he is about it, and I think I just love people who are authentic and who are out there, and I think we need more of that in social media, especially for Indonesia.
Love that. Okay, so we're going to draw this into a close, but so Detlef,
I have one thought. I mean, there must be a kind of a happiness factor, if you grow things, and well, I don't have it, but I think it's worth it to analyze it. And I guess if you have this happiness factor in you, and you're active in it, you want to fight for that nobody doing wrong things. So there's a certain automatism, I guess. Once you isolate this kind of happiness factor and you say that's mine and I want to go that way in my life, then you automatically protect, I guess, this way of thinking, this philosophy. This is what I would see as a kind of a future mind setting. But what is not coming from outside, what is definitely coming from inside. Right, this happiness factor.
Thank you, Brother Detlef. Appreciate you. So look, what we're going to do now, so I'm going to do a little bit of a closing, and then after that, Sister, you'll have the opportunity, damn straight, you'll have the opportunity, if there's something that you'd like to say, it might be reiterating something that you said already, or something that is just pulling in, feel free to say it. Now, one of the questions as part of that, which I'll leave you, and then you're going to have about 2 minutes to decide about it, is when it comes to impact, how do you measure it? Right? When it comes to impact, how do you measure it? So what you've mentioned before, 5 years' time, I would love to see this, this, and this. Now, quite often, people get stuck because, as we said before already, it is about case studies sometimes. It is about data and seeing how things are formed and how they tabulate, and then we can believe it, right? Yeah. We can see that things are growing, so therefore we get behind it. Human beings, right? So maybe a little bit to do with that as well, right? So in about 2 or 3 minutes. So I just want to thank everybody who's come tonight. And again, those of you watching either on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube Live, just remember that it's great you're watching. Really good you're watching. But it's better to come in person, right? Because what you find is that, as I've said to you before, Kania, is that the people which gravitate to particular episodes come for that episode. So quite often, the guest who is incredibly important to the whole part of this, you want to connect with them. But quite often, where the juice is, where the deals happen, where business is done, where partnerships are found, where collaborations are sought, is in the audience. And so quite often, not tonight, but we might do it afterwards, get a chance to talk about this is what I do, or this is what I'm looking for, or this is what I'm stuck with at the moment. Can anybody help? And that's why you come in person, because then you really get to activate. And I know, even off the top of my head, 5, 6 people who have built their business based on coming here, finding partners and strategic partnerships, and then going to business and making it happen. I think I'm going to do a show about that. So that's the reason why you come in person. You have 2 minutes coming in about 2 minutes. So what I missed in the beginning, this is called SpeakuP Monday, Destination Indonesia. It's episode 445. My name is Robert Ian Bonnick, the founder and the host. We've had a few wonderful hosts, co-hosts, which are still around, like Bhavna, Natalie, Carol, and there'll be more as well as we go through. But what I'm also known for is being a growth strategist and a gateway to Indonesia for medium and large companies, either who want to move to Indonesia or want to expand and grow within Indonesia. And there's 3 things that we do pretty well. So number 1 is immersive feasibility tours. So what that means is that quite often, if you're looking at doing something, you might go to a company, get a written report, and then make your actions based upon that. What we do, because we're in 10 different industry sectors, 445 episodes, we have interviewed over the past and formed great friendships and relationships with leaders, stakeholders, disruptors, innovators in 10 different market sectors. So what we do is that we connect you to them. So now it becomes immersive because we're all friends and brothers and sisters. So you get to understand and see what tactics are working right now today, which impacts the final strategy that you use to go to market. Then number 2 is connecting you to your market. And then number 3 is promotion. So this comes organically through shows like this, and it becomes also, part of using tech-enabled solutions. So they're the 3 things that we do. And I want to thank Guzman, Hadis, who else is here? Where is she? She's gone. She's around here somewhere. The other one. Just want to thank you all again for making it very seamless here, and each week we improve. We've got this wonderful backdrop, which is great. Next week is all about health. We do it once every month, the first Monday. That will be number 30-something, I lose count. One of the people we work with is Dr. Patrajaya, Bali Medical Tourism Association, and many other eminent, impressive people. So you really do get to learn some incredible things. So if you're interested in health, and we're talking Usada as well, which is the ancient Balinese contribution to health, come along, all right, and tune in for that one. And look, I want to thank the audience, which I think I've done already. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate all of you. Lovely, a majoritively Indonesian audience tonight, which I love. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you. And look, Kania, wow, I got nothing. There's so many parallels and so many points of similarity, of connection that we have. I'm so happy that you said yes. I'm extremely happy. Patrick Searle, United Founders, who put us together. Thank you, Patrick. And United Founders is an incredible organization. But I know and feel that there are things that we're going to do. And I'm looking forward to how that appears. And part of it may be due to the Tabanan community that we've started. So if you're interested in Tabanan, please get in touch. It's a wonderful community we've created with local government, stakeholders, change makers, innovators, disruptors across many market sectors. And you're one of those. So look, thank you so much for saying yes. Really enjoyed sitting down, being moved to tears a couple of times. Glad that you were still talking, otherwise the tears would have been on camera, which is fine. It's fine. But I'm trying to hold it together here. Thank you, my darling. All right. Appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you to Robert for doing this as a passion, and 400 and something episodes. Round of applause for Robert too, because you really are a beautiful heart, and that you are that human bridge that we all need. And I see you too, my brother. I see your soul, and I see that you are doing this out of love and passion. So I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming and for sitting through. If you feel that Bali is a little bit out of balance, that you feel that the harmony is a little bit lacking in Bali since where you started or when you arrive, be a part of our journey, because that is exactly what we want to do. We want to create harmony within the community through education. If you want to support, be part of our journey through many ways. We are so open for collaborations and so many ideas. And already brewing each time we have these conversations on what can we do next? But be part of this conversation. And I really believe that every single one of us has the power to create a change and be a change maker. We are all change makers in our own way. And I believe that fully. So embrace that. And the Green School Foundation, we are happy to be connected with anyone who's interested in sustainability education, the future of farming, supporting students through scholarships. So if that's you, don't be shy. Come talk to me. Come talk to the team. And I hope to connect with you another day, another time. Thank you all so much.
Round of applause, everybody. Thank you, sister.